Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this latest edition of Tales from Outer Space. Hope you enjoy. Story number 1. Cute Little Apes, written by The Cursor Hasn't Moved. As far as first contacts go, it's usually pretty simple. Well, it's simple for us anyway. We find some primitive society developing on a habitable world, set up an observation station, and wait for them to meet us in the stars. Every once in a while, we come across a generation ship, or an in-system colony, but a fledgling after their first shaky flight isn't that different from a fledgling about to leap for the first flight. So, it's much the same, except without the very useful cultural data gained from snooping in on them for a few centuries. Still though, those primitives are usually just a little afraid that we'll be unfriendly, and very eager to make friends in the stars. There have been some rocky stars, and maybe one or two little exterminations here and there, but for the most part, it's pretty simple. First contact with other star nations is a different story altogether. Basically, flip a coin and hope that the other star nation isn't an expanding empire. Thankfully, we've only had to pacify 2 of those. The other 24 star nations we've met so far have been more than happy to join the grandly named Galactic Union, and have politely refrained that our organization covers less than a quarter of the known galaxy. I assure you, dear reader, that refraining has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that by comparison to us, the other star nations are rather primitive, or at least it shouldn't. There is, as of, about 3 capital rotations ago, a somewhat notable exception to this that is, of course, due to no fault of our own. I reiterate, I did nothing wrong, and the other party agrees with me. I think. I hope. Anyway, so I was surveying some ruins in the Great Empty when I found a cute little bipedal ape thing contaminating the ruins. Now, I do admit that I raised my chest and shouted just a little to frighten it off, since I thought that it was a local primitive, or one from a near system. Instead of running away, it held some kind of device and chatted at me. Well, I shouted just a tiny bit louder, but it just put one of its manipulator appendages up to its sensory organ and chatted some more. Seeing as how the normal ways of dealing with a primitive being where they weren't supposed to be weren't working, I called back to the ship. There is a primitive planetside, bipedal, apioid, kind of cute. Are you sure this place is uninhabited? I asked. Strangely, it was the Exo who answered me. The planet has only some semi-social animals living on it. The being you see is not local. Approach with caution. A bit late, matron. It's chattering at me, so the primitives clearly vocalized for communication. We know. She sounded pained for some reason, so I asked with some apprehension, What do you mean, you know? I might have bleated like a hatchling, just a little, but I swear that the memes the engineers made are exaggerating, because the ape thing answered. They mean they're talking to my ship. Well, apparently, in time it took me to come back to the ship, we were detected. Our computer systems were accidentally breached by their hailing protocols, and they had downloaded and encoded our lexicon into not only their shipboard systems, but sent it to their archaeologist's personal translator. Apparently, these humans can have rather drastic linguistic drift, even in the same language groups, so they'd invented translators before meeting anybody else. I was aware that I might have made an ever so slight faux pas. It's not polite to remind a primitive of how primitive they are to their face, after all, especially if they have somewhat advanced computers. Okay, so I might have said some patronizing things to it, just the usual flattery about braving the void of space and honest praise for their advanced computers. I did not pat it on its head and call it a brave little child. I did not. Not more than once. But really, when you see what they look like, you'll understand that I was momentarily overcome by how adorable it looks. It seemed to be patient and amused with me, so I didn't think I started any grudges or anything. Anyway, eventually I asked why he was investigating the ruins, and it answered, We're trying to figure out why they wanted to kill us so damn much. They, I asked, exoskeletons, 4 limbs for manipulators, 4 for locomotion. Most of them came up to about my shoulder. From what we can tell, they ran some kind of vampire economy going until they met us. That might explain why the ruins get newer the further into the Great Empty we get. Great Empty? I managed to explain that the region that we were both in was called that because thus far we've only found evidence of long-dead civilizations, rather than anything even resembling intelligent life. there is sporadic events of interstellar war, but it's limited to a few glass planets and broken stations. But that wouldn't account for these empty ruins across so many planets devoid of even corpses. It informed me that when the bugs apparently denuded systems of rare resources behind an advancing wave of conquest and simply abandoned them to continue extracting newly conquered worlds, now, you're probably aware the dead civilization of the Great Empty has been estimated to be at least as advanced as we are, and I had just learned that they weren't quite as dead as we'd realized. At least, not until they tried to kill these adorable humans. So, I get that you're super experienced diplomats and stuff, but try to keep in mind that these guys might have just xenocided the expansionist empire with a technology level roughly equivalent to our own. And don't be fooled with how cute they look. Also, humans said that they totally forgive me for calling it primitive, so any bad first impressions are totally not my fault. End of story. Story number 2, Stop Motion, written by Serpentine Logic. Ticklick sighed and collapsed on the baseball court, legs splayed out like a giant praying mantis he resembled. That was fun, friend Julian. Julian trotted over, baseball under his arm, and sat respectfully far away from him. Yeah, totally, dude. You get some massive hang time with those wings, even in Earth standard. But friend Julian, this advantage is offset by the low oxygen concentration your world has, which I believe represents a significant handicap, and so I submit that my narrow loss was, in fact, a win for me, and by extension the entire Kaliktaki authority. Oh, dude, that's stretching it. My argument is not bulging at all. In fact, I will prove my innate superiority of my brood by beating yours in a game of your own devising. I challenge you and your human classmates to a game of paintball. Julian rolled backwards into a roll and stood up, still holding the basketball. Oh, no, dude. You don't want to do that. It wouldn't be fair. And second, you've been listening to the ambassador way too much with all the superiority crap. I agree. It would be a slaughter, but we promise to go easy on you. And my broodmother makes some salient points about our advantages over you humans. Such as, item number 1, the Klickadak have an increased field of view due to our compound eyes. You cannot sneak up on us. Item number 2, our vision is far more sensitive to movement than yours, something shared by all creatures of our cradle world. You humans cannot help but fidget, rotate your eyeballs, and change size as you breathe in and out. Even when you think that you are stationary, we will spot you. Item number 3. We have evolved to be the perfect ambush predator. We can stay motionless for hours, before exploding into a frenzy of activity to take down our prey. In case you are unclear, this would be you. Julian angled his head in a way Ticklick had learned to interpret as skepticism. Ren click. I don't think that will work. Not out in the paintball field with grass and trees and, I don't know, nature stuff. Ticklick spread his arms and his version of a shrug. We will just have to find out, won't we? Julian covered his eyes with his hands and sighed. Okay, dude. Fine. You bring your brood and I'll round up a half-dozen classmates. But if we win, you quit with us all. We're better than you talk. Okay, agreed. In return, if our brood wins, you must bow to us in the school hallways for the next week. Whatever, dude. See you on the field on Saturday. Click checked the pods on his back one last time and shouldered his paintball gun. Brood ready, he clicked. Ready, his broodmate Flicklick replied. Do softskins know about pastime hunting here in the week that there was? No, the softskin larvae have never seen start-stop movements before. They are prey to us like the antelope. We ambush in the pastime. When the air horn sounds, we speed to positions and watch for opportunities. Softskins do not know what attacks them in the time that we will be, Flicklick clicked, smugly. They'll be educated. Jules, I don't know why we're even here. This is going to be so lopsided. Eric adjusted his mask and neck cover, and then checked the tank was full of his gun. Dude, I know, but we're making a point. Besides, we got a bulk discount on balls because I know this is going to be turned into a slugfest for 3 entire hours. You know Ticklick as well as I do. He won't give up until faced with an undeniable proof. He's been going on about the special eyes and stop-start sneaking all week. It's insufferable. But Do they understand that they're bright fecking fluoro orange? Julian grinned and put on his mask as he saw the official walk onto the field with an air horn. I guess that'll be a lesson for them then. End of story. I'd quickly like to thank the T5 channel members and patrons. Caspar Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Lord Azrakal, Dragzoon WRE, Holly Sister, Ambrose Cattell, and Quantum Wednesday. Thank you very much.